Welcome to Psychic Insights, where pop culture meets higher consciousness and the tea is always a little bit mystical. I'm Robin Richardson, your psychic girlfriend, and around here we don't just watch the drama unfold. We read the energy behind it, whether it's celebrity scandals, reality TV, chaos, or true crime with a twist. I'm tuning in to bring you the intuitive scoop, the headlines miss. So buckle up, because your aura's about to get entertained. All right, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin Richardson, your psychic girlfriend. It's been a busy week. I can't believe it. Lots have been going on in the Laura Owens continuing saga. And then I've got some other upcoming really cool things happen for me, but I can't talk about that just yet. Let's just say it involves a big streaming service. Anywho, I digress. So before I dive in, I want to be very, very clear that everything I share here comes from psychic insight and card readings. I'm not an attorney, I'm not in the courtroom, and I'm not making any factual claims. What I'm offering is an energetic impression, archetypal dynamics, and the story the cards are telling. And this is for reflection and insight, not a legal verdict. With that said, let's get into it. Because the latest Daily Mail article on the Laura Owens case, mind-blowing. It really got my attention. And if you want to go and read the whole thing or hear more coverage on that, go to Loud Little Ducky, go to Justice for Clayton, go to Echoes from the Tabernacle, Laura Knighty, go to all of them. They are amazing in their expanded coverage. I'm just going to give you the psychic insights. All right, but I'm going to tell you a little bit. The article reminds us that Laura Owens, who accused the bachelor Clayton Echard of fathering twins and is now facing 7 felonies, count them, 7 felonies, charges, perjury, forgery, tampering with evidence, and more. But what stood out for me and really continues just to be mind-boggling are words from her mother, Jan Black. Some of the things is Jan insisted the pregnancy was real. She described Laura as tormented, accused prosecutors of being selective, and said her family has been bankrupted and destroyed. And here's why this bothers me. These are not words of someone holding accountability. These are words of denial, deflection, doubling down. You know, the energy is heavy, conflicted, and deeply stuck. So you know me, had to pull my cards. So what I pulled, I wanted to ask, this is what I asked, just so you know how I work if you're new. I ask the energy about Jan and whether she'll be facing consequences, and I pull my Lenormand cards, and the cards that I use tell me a story. I don't read them like traditional people do. I use them in the way that they work with me. So I pulled Mountain, Lily, whip it good. Where did it go? Tree, Key, Anchor, Stork, Clover, and Star. Okay, so this was my first spread, and so let's talk a little bit about it. Lily and Mountain and Lily are entrenched, and Jan sees herself as moral, as the matriarch, but she's blocked from the truth. Whip and Snake come in. Whip and Snake conflict and distortion, twisting the facts, arguing, defending. We see this with her. You know, when they did the raid video, she was, I don't know, her energy was weird. That's my professional opinion. Weird. And then we have Key, and this is where the truth will emerge. The reveal is unavoidable. Tree and anchor. Tree and anchor. This sticks. The consequences aren't fast, but they're going to go deep, and they will last. We have stork, clover, and the star. A shift is coming. Changes will bring clarity and public awareness. So yeah, I'm going to say that there are consequences for Jan. And they don't look like a sudden collapse, but rather reputational and relational fallout that will build and that will stay with her. If I had to say, I would say that she's going to lose a lot of friends, if she has any. And I have a feeling that people in her family, maybe her other daughter, Sarah, may be separating from her. Then I pulled some additional cards on the parenting to look at the psyche behind the parenting of these kids, Laura and Sarah. And what was interesting is like man, woman, path, and house came up. Jan sees herself as the guardian of the home, the fortress mother, but instead of creating safety, she builds walls. The house has become a trap where secrets are defended instead of truth being nurtured. And then woman, man, and path shows repeated crossroad moments where she could have guided differently, but chose protection over accountability. I tend to think that she sees Laura very differently than she sees her other daughter, someone that she needs to protect and defend because she either has some guilt around her parenting or guilt around something that occurred in Laura's life. I think I've talked about this before. Her failing as a parent is equating love and loyalty at all costs, and she reinforces the deception and conflict instead of the truth. In her mind, defending Laura is love. But in reality, it keeps her daughter stuck in a cycle of denial. She is not doing Laura any favors. And as a mother, it just chaps my hide. I personally do not know what it's like to have a kid off the rails. So I do have compassion for those of you out there that may have, children that are off the rails. But then I asked about Ronn's role because I was very curious after watching the raid videos, how he seems to know who his daughter is. Yeah. So what I got was book, garden, birds, and sun. The book is like he holds back. He knows more than he admits. He knows he's done things that have not helped Laura, truly. The garden, he cares about how things look socially in the community. Obviously, reputation is super important to him. The birds show chatter, nervous conversation, pressure from voices around him. And sun, at the core, he wants truth and clarity. So does Ronn believe Laura's story? The cards say no, not fully. He carries a lot of doubt, but instead of standing up, he stays quiet. And his failing is passivity, letting Jan dominate. While he manages the appearances, his consequence won't be public scandal, but private regret, living with the weight of silence. And he's ill. So there's a lot of this weighing not only on him emotionally and mentally, but also manifests physically. All right, so I also wanted to know about the accomplice. And this is the part that really also caught my attention in the article. Prosecutors mentioned an accomplice, and we've seen this in the legal documents, someone who may have helped Laura. They didn't name the person, but the energy around it is strong. So I pulled into the energy, and the three archetypes that came through was the protector, the family member who actively defends, covers, reinforces the story. They may not forge documents, but they keep the lie alive. And this is where Jan's energy overlaps. Snake and Whip in her spread show active distortion. She may not be the technician, but she has defended so fiercely, she edges into accomplice territory. The technician archetype is the behind-the-scenes helper, someone younger, more digital, and more savvy that way, who might actually touch the documents or move files. The energy feels different from Jan, but it's present in the field. The confidant, the one who knows but doesn't tell. Silence becomes complicity, and the book card in Ronn's spread points to this role, but it may not necessarily be him, but the archetype of someone holding back truth. If I had to put money on it, I would say it's female, and it may be a combination of Jan and I want to say maybe her sister. Remember, these are my insights. I'm not accusing anyone. But here's the big takeaway. Accomplices aren't always co-writers of the lie. Sometimes they're the people who defend it so fiercely it survives longer than it should, and that in that sense, Jan's enabling blurs into accomplice energy. And the key tells me that whoever the accomplice is, the truth about them will be revealed. So what does this all mean for Jan and Ronn? For Jan, the consequence is credibility. Her image as the fortress mother crumbles. Her words today will not age well, and she will be remembered not for protection, but for denial. And for Ronn, the consequence is quieter, but no less heavy. He may never be labeled as an accomplice, but he will carry that private weight of knowing he didn't step in, didn't challenge, didn't stop this spiral. His silence becomes his burden. Neither escapes untouched. The cards show that truth is the key, and when it comes, it changes everything. So here's the bigger lesson in all of this. In families, the accomplice isn't always the one who forges the documents or writes the lie. Sometimes it's the parent who defends, the partner who stays silent, and the confidant who doesn't speak up. And that's what this case is revealing, the dynamics of enabling. And from the cards, I see consequences ahead, not just for Laura, but for those around her who chose to protect her and protect silence over truth. And that, in the end, is where the karmic weight lies. If you've enjoyed my coverage, please like and subscribe and share with your friends and hit that notification bell because there's other stuff I'm doing. And thank you again for liking and supporting, and please comment because that helps the algorithm too and gets out my work to other people. So I appreciate you listening, being here, and I'll see you in the next one.